follow-up to this matter. You can imagine my concern regarding the expedited repair after years of inability to repair the system. I was wondering if the AC had truly been repaired or if it was just turned back on to eliminate the humidity issue. Will I be returning to unregulated, uncomfortable classroom temperatures? If the system has truly been repaired, could you tell me what the repair was completed? And if not, can we come up with an actionable plan for real change? I am also curious if the air conditioning ductwork will be cleaned, and if so, by whom and when. That last sentence resulted in the classroom HVAC filters on D wing down being cleaned by custodial staff that following weekend. In addition, they wiped down all surfaces in...
Good evening, Pat Burton, Warwick educator, parent, and teacher here at VETS. She left off with all the surfaces in this wing. I also informed that the temperatures and fan speeds had been adjusted. On September 25th, 2023, I again emailed each of you further expressing my concern while addressing Mr. Oliver. In this email, I stated, "This brings me to the school department's efforts to sanitize the D-wing down hallway and any other parts of the building. While these efforts are thoughtful and provide seemingly positive optics that the issue is being addressed, they are merely a Band-Aid and, quite frankly, a very short-term solution if they could be considered a solution at all. I know this because I personally have wiped down moldy surfaces only to see the mold regrowth the very following morning. In fact, the bookshelf surface photo I sent in my original email had been wiped clean the very day before taking that photo. While I have not seen mold regrowth since my room has been sanitized, I am certain that this is due solely to the incredibly bitter temperatures that we are now experiencing with the simultaneous timing of the adjusted temperatures and fan speeds. Coincidentally, my grade 6 science curriculum this year begins with Earth Science, Unit on Weather. In examining concepts related to Earth's atmosphere, my students learn that cold air holds less water vapor than warm air. My point being that lowering the temperature most definitely lowers the humidity level in the room, but lowering the temperature does not fix the HVAC problem. Doing so only leads to the occupants of that room experiencing equally uncomfortable learning and working conditions.
30 seconds, Ms. Burton.
This was evident when students told me this past week that they only wore a sweatshirt to school because they know it will be freezing in my classroom. Even more frustrating than years of dealing with this, the same issue, is knowing that I am not alone in my concerns and discomfort. After I received your response, I thought it would be helpful for you to know exactly which rooms were in need of HVAC repair, seeing as you and Mr. Goffberg are working with an outside vendor.
To my knowledge, no one has ever asked any members of the faculty for this information, which seems to me to be necessary information to repair the system and/or achieve a long-term solution to the HVAC issues we're experiencing. These issues range from high humidity levels to freezing temperatures to no heat, 4 years strong in some rooms, to no ventilation whatsoever, and almost always with absolutely no ability for the people in these rooms to adjust the temperature on the room thermostat. A seemingly simple fix which would no doubt also save taxpayer dollars. The attached document speaks to the building concerns by room number. Of the approximate 100 rooms or building areas listed, 55 faculty members responded stating that they had HVAC concerns within their rooms or building areas that needed to be addressed. We'll be including this pertinent information in our school NEASC report. We implore you all to seek real solutions to this long-standing building-wide issue. The next day, September 26, 2023, Mrs. Hazelwood responded to my email stating that she would be visiting the following day. She was joined here at VETS by Superintendent Danbrook and Kevin Oliver on September 27th. During their visit, we visited 10 classrooms and listened to numerous concerns. Based on these concerns, I agreed to secure a comprehensive list of HVAC concerns as the prior 55 concerns they were merely collected without promise of repair. The list now stands at 78 teachers with HVAC classroom concerns. I'd like to applaud every single teacher that spoke up to advocate for his or her students. My concern has not diminished since that visit 2 weeks ago. As of Friday, my room was not circulating air and the humidity was measured at 64%. My concern is again raised, knowing that volatile organic compounds, also known as VOCs, which are major indoor air pollutants, contributors to sick building syndrome, and known cancer-causing agents, are worsened by the relative humidity levels over 58%. With that said, there's a requisition request, number 17709, on the agenda this evening from the Director of Facilities, Mr. Kevin Oliver, to troubleshoot and repair the HVAC system at Vets. It is stated that this will not exceed $50,000. I implore you to not only fund this request for troubleshooting and repair, but to do it without emphasis on budgetary constraints and/or by cutting corners. I also call upon the City Council to appropriate the necessary funding to keep up on the maintenance of our outdated, aging buildings. You simply cannot continue to underfund our schools while they continue to age and are in need of constant repair. The health of our students, their teachers, and every single individual employed in this building is the responsibility of our administration, our school committee members, and those elected to the City Council. Let's get this right, because I can promise you that you will not be able to fit us all back into Gordon.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Pierce.
Hello. Darlene Netco, lifelong resident of Warwick, homeowner, taxpayer, graduate of Warwick Public Schools, president of the Warwick Teachers Union, teacher of 34 years in this district. At Tollgate, and as I've said before, windowless classroom. And my comment on an agenda item is on number 4, the new schools update. Because happily, the City Council approved the bond release for the money for the new schools. And obviously, I thank the City Council for that. Though I also want to mention that I'm disappointed in some of the comments from some of the people on the stage during and after the last school committee meeting. At the last school committee meeting, we had a number of Warwick Teachers Union members in attendance. And there were some disparaging or insinuating or mocking comments to the effect that there were so many, as in, I hope there are so many people there at the City Council meeting. Well, you don't have to worry about us teachers supporting new schools. In case you have forgotten, or maybe were not aware in the first place, the Warwick Teachers Union worked very hard during last year's election cycle and afterwards to try to get this money for the schools. We put up hundreds of signs on private yards. We passed out hundreds of flyers, went door to door, talked to, for those who don't live in Warwick, talked to family, friends, acquaintances, anybody they knew to vote for these schools. Some of our members even took it upon themselves to stand with signs at intersections in Apponaug to promote these schools. Behind the scenes, we lobbied our City Council. I personally spoke to City Council people. And at the City Council meeting on September 18th, Warwick teachers did pack that City Hall. And Warwick teachers stood up at the microphone and they spoke in favor of these new schools. And we've done nothing but advocate for that. So we did not deserve any mockery or disparaging remarks about attendance, because we've been there all along for these new schools, because we know how important these schools are to our students, and we only ever act in the best interest of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Necko. Anyone else with public comment? Thank you. Just please state your name.
Yes. I'm Mark Mville. I'm the interim president and CEO of Mentor Rhode Island. And I just noticed that we had an item on the agenda tonight, the approval of one of our contracts, and I figured that it would be appropriate time to give you all a basic update. In the past year, we've experienced some changes with the program. Unfortunately, a year ago tomorrow, our longtime coordinator of the program passed away suddenly. So there was a little bit of this past school year of getting our feet back under us, but I'm proud to report that by the end of the school year, we had at least 100 matches across Warwick Public Schools. So there are at least 100 students that are receiving the services of Mentor Rhode Island in that vein, and we've also worked on piloting a program at Tollgate and Windman to have peer mentoring. So that is going on in earnest. We have a search for a new permanent president and CEO, but I can assure you that our board and myself as the interim are fully behind continuing our work in Warwick. That is what we started as, the Warwick Mentoring Program. We've gone on to do work around the state, but this is our home, this is where we're at, and I just want to assure you that any changes that are coming with new leadership should not affect anything that we're doing with the city of Warwick. So I thank you for your partnership and the schools for the partnership, the principals, the teachers, everybody that helps us out to make sure we get the matches going and started for the new year. And we're excited to have another year of servicing the students in Warwick. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mville. Anyone else for public comment? Going once, going twice? Okay, thank you. Okay, recommended actions. Seek a motion for approval of minutes of public session from September 12, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Seek approval for minutes of executive session September 12, 2023.
Move approval.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of transfers October 10th, 2023.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of warrants October 10th, 2023.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Announcements, personnel as presented. Mrs. Ruggieri.
Oh, there we go. Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the school committee. Tonight, we have 2 retirements to bid farewell to. Jan Daly, clerical in the maintenance department. She's been with the district for 26 years. And Nisa San Giovanni, a social studies teacher at Pilgrim, has been with the district for 37 years. A combined 63 years in just those 2 employees, and we thank them for their service and wish them good luck in their futures. I do need a vote for that.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I have 3 resignations from some classified members. Nicole Clerk, teacher assistant in the intermediate AAP at Lippet. Beverly Tarot, teacher assistant primary AAP at Lippet. And Daria Madden, teacher assistant 101 at Oakland Beach. We wish them well in their future professional endeavors and thank them for their service.
Need a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. One more announcement requiring a vote. Molly Batista, a teacher assistant at Welk. She is on the TA to teacher track, so she's taking a 1-year leave of absence from her teaching assistant position.
Move approval?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. And now we have some courtesy announcements for some new people to welcome to the district and a few people just in different roles. So we welcome Dr. Ann Cecil as the Strategic Planning and Policy Coordinator, 50% in administration. We welcome back Kathy Parisi on a part-time basis as the school psychologist at Lippet. Molly Batista, the preschool special educator, IASE at Welk. Sophia Solomeo, English teacher at Windman. Robert Anastasi, Tech Ed teacher at Windman, and Allison Lambert, speech and language pathologist at Scott and Lippet. We welcome them to the district and hope that they have long careers here with us.
Thank you. If any of you are here, feel free to stand up to be recognized. I don't see anyone. Okay. Thank you. Oh, where?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hi, Dr. Cecil. Sorry. Well, Dr. Taylor is a lot taller than you.
So also coaches as presented in your executive packets. And I just want to point out that of the 68 teacher vacancies that we had in the district starting the school year. We are down to our last 2, and we are onboarding them as we speak. So kudos to Donna O'Rourke and the team in HR and payroll and everyone else who has onboarded all these people.
Thank you, Mrs. Ruggieri. Okay, there are no donations or correspondence. Next, adoption of policies. GBE, staff health and safety, first read. Dr. Cecil.
Yes, I'm sorry. Policy GBE, first read. This was a policy that we updated during COVID and specifically spoke to the requirement of wearing masks. So we have now updated it to reflect our current policy, which is that we're not requiring it unless or until the Department of Health or the governor requires it as a mandate. So that's really the only changes that we've made here. So we're asking your approval. This has been reviewed by legal, and we're requesting your approval as a first read.
Okay. Looking for a motion to approve the first read?
I have discussion.
Yeah, we'll move it, second it, and discuss it.
Move approval.
Second.
Second, discussion. Ms. Hazelwood.
The only thing I have a question about is the last section on page 2, where it says, I would like to strike that if an employee or staff member has a medical condition that prohibits the use of a face mask, must provide a doctor's order. I agree with that, but I don't agree with maybe asked to sign a release and the school nurse or they may call their physician. I don't agree with that. I don't think we should be calling their physicians. So I would like to see that strike.
All right, so I just spoke to our attorney, and typically what we'd do for that is we would send that back to the policy sub for a redo. So we would amend the motion, Andrew? The motion was to accept it as a first read.
First read.
Yes, I'll withdraw that motion and then make a new motion.
Okay.
Can we have additional comment?
Yeah, more comments. Anybody, any else for comment? Mr. Gallagher?
Yeah, I echo Ms. Hazelwood's comments on that last paragraph there. I don't think it's necessary if a teacher comes in or any faculty member comes in with a note from their physician stating that they can't wear a mask for whatever reason. We should just be acknowledging that medical professional's notice and not trying to go a step further. I also call into question here on page 2 as well. The title of this is Staff Health and Safety, yet the third paragraph down references student athletes, and then the fourth paragraph down references students with special needs. On the students with special needs piece, again, it's staff related, so why are we referencing students? Secondly, can we, Attorney Hennius, can we even do that? Can we separate the children out like that?
I can
based on
speak
if
to
they have
this.
Special needs?
Yes. Originally, this was staff and student health and safety. There's another policy in the student section of the manual that speaks to student safety. So that's why this was in the employee, the personnel section of the policy manual. And so we didn't, we're happy to catch that and move that over to the student section.
So that student athlete piece should probably go over
To the, it
student
already
one.
is.
Okay.
It's like a duplicate
Yeah.
policy.
All right, great. So yeah, if we can just keep this one as staff, and then when we make the motion for the amendments on this, I'd really like to see that other piece on students with special needs.
Right. Any other comment? Okay, what I think we'll do, Mr. Gallagher, I'll ask you to withdraw your motion to approve this, and then make another motion to send it back to the policy subcommittee.
You're asking a lot, Mr. Chair. I'm going to make a motion to withdraw approval.
Okay, I second that. All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now your motion.
Motion to send policy GBE, staff health and safety, back to the policy subcommittee with amendments.
Yep, and they can take those up.
Yep.
I second that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is, excuse me, Policy EB, School Safety, second read. Dr. Cecil.
Yes, this was a policy that we brought forward to you in July, and for some reason, we forgot to bring it back for its second read. This was one that we went through. Dr. Taylor worked on it. Our school safety officer worked on it. We eliminated an old policy on fire drills and made this an updated, comprehensive policy on school safety. So recommending the adoption of that tonight.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, new business, discussion, presentation, innovative indoor spaces. This will be Mrs. Cousineau and Dr. Taylor, so we're coming down there? Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the school committee. This presentation we have before you this evening is to take a moment and capture the narrative and the progress and the completion that was our innovative indoor learning spaces. Everybody here has been a major part, including the school committee, as we brought before you throughout the course of last year a number of items to approve. And we always appreciated the support that we were given, and we want to show you the benefits of all of that labor. So just a process information, just to make sure everybody kind of sees where this originated and the process we took. About a year ago, Warwick was awarded by the School Building Authority of Rhode Island $698,000 for what they called 21st century technology and furniture projects. We as a district term this the innovative spaces. So if you've ever heard 21st century technology and furniture projects and innovative spaces, those are synonymous. Of that, $114,000 was designated for a CTE program boost, and that was to help fund some innovation in our CTE programs, and that left the $584,000 to use on these innovative learning spaces. So the process we took, because we as a leadership team tossed around different ideas of just giving money to schools, dividing it up, and we developed an application process within. And we put out, as a team, we developed the process, the rubrics, we gave principals all the contact information of various resources that they could lean upon to help develop their proposals. And we scored those proposals using a rubric that we had developed. The goal of this was to meet schools where they were. Different schools were in the midst of different initiatives. Some schools were undergoing various other construction projects. We wanted to make sure that we could focus the energies on a place where the schools were hoping us to focus. We had 11 schools submit proposals, and 8 schools were selected via the rubrics. That included 6 elementary schools and 2 secondary schools. That process, by the time all of the proposals were submitted and reviewed, it was about mid-January where we began kicking off the work. And really, I'd be remiss not to mention the lift it was for all the various departments in the school department, as well as the school teams, their principals, the teachers. This is a quick turnaround. And without everybody really firing on all cylinders, rowing in the same direction, it would not have been done. Kevin Oliver and his team were nothing short of spectacular in getting this work completed, and we'll show you some pictures of that. Our computer technicians did an excellent job of getting things implemented. Also, every department, Sarah Smith from secondary, Kim DeGuzman Elementary, Carol Maloney, Antonetta Marley from Technology, to get all the purchasing and acquisition piece done in such a fast turnaround, preparing for school committee meetings, seeking approval, and then getting that stuff ordered and in place. We commenced, I said, in January, and we concluded our work just towards the end of the summer, and really our goal was, and really was met, substantially complete by the opening of school in these spaces. We want to take a moment and show you some of these spaces now.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. So our first space is over at Cedar Hill. We did go alphabetically, and I won't read this whole slide to you, but one of the important pieces is that it's not just about the technology. It says the technology does not become the center of teaching, but rather it supports and improves the instruction and learning. If you've been over to Cedar Hill since the work has been done, they use that open atrium space where they have some flexible seating. You can see that on the first slide on the left. Those can be separated, they can be put together, they can be flipped over. In the middle at the top, that is a 3D printer. I believe they have a number of those as well. The Promethean board does stand in the room as well. It is on a cart so that it can be moved to any place in the room. The walls were painted green intentionally. We have some built-in green screens for some visual projects. And they have a workspace in the back as well with their laminator and copy machine and things like that. We've been over there and we've actually seen it in being used, and I heard at open house, Mom, come check it out. This is our favorite new space. So that was pretty cool.
And one thing, if I could just highlight, Mrs. Cousineau, is this space, as you may recall, was the open atrium space. So these walls were constructed. Mm-hmm. The flooring was, put in and installed. The carpet, the laminate flooring, all the walls painted, electrical run. So that's really where the facilities department stepped up immensely.
The second space alphabetically is Hollman, and Hollman aligned this right with their mission and vision in their school improvement plan. It incorporates their responsive classroom practices as well as small group instruction, being culturally responsive, and their MTSS and RTI practices. They chose their actual library space. And again, they have some very flexible seating. You can see some of our Hollman friends actually utilizing the space. Up in the top right-hand corner, we call those guitar pick tables, and the kids sit there and do some small group instruction over there. Those seats are very comfortable, very surprisingly comfortable. And then there's some workspaces. There's even a collaborative space. I don't see a picture of it here, but oh, yes, I do. In the middle picture at the top over near where the wild things are, there's a creative space where the kids can go and just work together and collaborate. So this was their actual library, and now it is their indoor innovative space. Norwood also has a space. It is also their library as well. The goal was to have a strong focus on student achievement and prepare our students for success in our secondary school levels and beyond. And it also is rooted in our vision of the graduate. Their library space is no longer a library, but an innovative space as well. The front portion of the library, when you enter the library, is the kind of the gathering point where the Promethean board is on the wall with the whiteboard. At open house at another building, I saw a student take those yellow seats and flip it over and rock on it, and his parent was like, buddy, get down off there, turn that over. And I said, no, he's actually doing it correctly. It's meant for them to be able to control their own bodies, whether they need movement breaks or not. Those seats are intentionally built like that. What looks like a cloud is actually a table, and that is a whiteboard where they would write and create and collaborate and erase and start all over again, because we know it is about making mistakes, and it's learning from your mistakes and working with your peers and colleagues. They do a lot of Lego, a lot of construction. There's a 3D printer in one of those pictures as well. Some great nesting seating up in the back there as well. So again, just a nice fun space to learn and create. Oakland Beach, as we know, they've been transported over to their Airbnb for 1 year. So they are over at 69 Draper with us, but when they return, their space will be ready for them as well. So due to the construction, their project is on hold. All those things will go on behind the scenes, and we'll have pictures when the time comes. Park Elementary School also has an innovative learning space. They are concentrating on problem solving, project-based collaborative learning, both inside and outside the classroom, and moving towards a student-centered and personalized learning paths. They also, the sister school of Cedar Hill, have that atrium space, and so very similar to Cedar Hill's space. They have the Promethean boards, the 3D printers. We don't have a picture of the very cool aquatic fish pond. I know Nemo has been seen at Cedar Hill, perhaps at Park as well. They have the cool tables as well on the right. Those are flipped down, but those are also the tables and the seating that flips up. Robertson Elementary, this was the only school to actually work in conjunction with the arts, and their space is in the former art room. They are working on the whole Google Suite, and they now have a Raptor, because they are the Robertson Raptors. They are working on a STEAM lab, including art and literacy. So they have transformed what a normal, typical classroom or art room would look like, with some creative furniture choices, again, all new flooring and things like that. Everything is on wheels, everything moves. And one of my favorite parts is over on the right at the top. That is the old brown, where your teacher used to hang your coat, and you had like your little corner nook. All the doors were taken off, and that's where the art teacher now has her supplies. And so I just thought that was a real creative way of making an old space look new. They have a lot of different things in bins and buckets, and I was in there at open house. And again, the kids were very excited about sharing their new space.
And I can hop in on the Warwick Vets Middle School. This project, coming from middle school myself for many, many years, I was most excited about the Warwick Vets Middle School project. The technology team at Warwick Veterans did a phenomenal job in their visioning of what an innovative space would look like and a really 21st century technology program would look like, a program that I wish I had as a student, and I know the students will enjoy doing. This space right here that was redefined was both a small, tiny computer room and a storage closet. And they have built out like I said, their vision was great. We have CNC machines, 3D printing, design stations, a Promethean board, and this is a place that exists, if you're familiar with this school, between two of the tech ed program labs. And this is really a super space there. So job well done. And next up, not tonight, but next up, hopefully a year from tonight, we will be hopefully presenting to you our outdoor learning spaces. I don't want to go too much in depth because I know the superintendent is going to update in her monthly update a little bit more about the outdoor learning spaces. But it's another grand opportunity from RIDE, and we're excited to kind of replicate some of that innovation that you saw inside into some really cool outdoor projects that, again, the school teams have been doing a great job, the teachers, the administrators, putting those plans together.
Yeah, and again, just to echo, thank you to all the people behind the scenes that made this happen, especially Kevin and his team, and all the folks at our end who did all the ordering, and the techs who made it all happen, and the principals who put the applications through, the teachers who were on the committees to support this work. So again, just great use of grant funding to get our students what they deserve.
Thank you, Mrs. Cousineau. Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Any comments from anybody on the committee? Mr. Galligan.
Just want to say great job to who was ever involved on any of these projects. I had the opportunity to see a few of them in person at Park, Hollman, and Norwood, and they truly look great. Google was one of the first kind of companies that came out there and started creating these spaces that kind of sparked thought, allowed you to adapt the room to the flow of the meeting or whatever you needed to accomplish. And so I think it's really, really cool that it's making its way into the schools now, especially here in Warwick. So I think it's only going to benefit our children, benefit the educators, allow them to be a little bit more flexible with how they teach, while also giving the kids a different type of learning environment. So great job to everyone involved on executing this. Thank you.
Ms. Hazelwood?
Yes, I just wanted to echo that. I got to look at some of them. I saw the one here at Vets when we visited, and it is amazing. Great job. And they look great across everyone I've seen. They all look great, and the kids are going to benefit. So I thank you for that.
Ms. Backus?
I too want to thank you for all your hard work on these. They came out.
Ms. Kirby Chapman?
Same thing. Everything's great. Kelly loves it. Kelly loves her art room, so thank you. It's great.
And I would echo that, and two things that stuck out to me. Elementary school age child with a green screen in the room. You talk about stretching an imagination, what you can do with a green screen, and then CNC machines in the middle school, which is just tremendous. So I'm very proud of all that work that's been done. Thank you. Okay, next up, discussion update. This is a new monthly agenda topic. It's a superintendent update, and I think this was long overdue, and I'm pleased to say, take it away, Superintendent Danbrook.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the school committee, members of the community. I wanted to give an update on different things that are happening around the state in education and also within Warwick. So one of the topics I want to speak about is there's an Annenberg report which talks about the state of recovery in Rhode Island's post-pandemic public school landscape. So this report shows how the pandemic really has affected teaching and learning and students in many different ways, and I want to share the highlights with you. So traditional public school enrollments have declined substantially over the past decade, largely reflecting drops in Rhode Island's school-age population. The drop in enrollments are most prevalent in elementary. Since the pandemic, Rhode Island public schools have lost 8,000 students. Rhode Island public schools are more diverse than ever, and the number of multilingual language learners has doubled. We have a big problem across the state in absenteeism. Chronic absenteeism has risen to all-time highs following COVID-19 pandemic. In 21-22, 46,000 students were chronically absent across the state. In elementary school, the average was 31%, middle school, 34%, and high school, 39%. Also, Rhode Island schools trail their Massachusetts peers in both ELA performance and math performance. And in the Annenberg report, they compared schools with similar populations in Rhode Island to Massachusetts to make sure they were doing an even comparison. Just to give you examples, in Rhode Island, 21-22, ELA RICAS, the average scale score was 488. In Massachusetts, ELA MCAS average score, 495. Rhode Island 2022, Math RICAS average scale score was 435. And in Massachusetts, the scale score for Math MCAS was 493. So we are closing the gap a little bit since the pandemic. College enrollment has declined during the pandemic, especially in our community colleges. This is reversing an increase in college going forward ever since the Rhode Island Promise was introduced. And again, outdoor learning spaces. I'm so proud of the innovative learning spaces, and thank you to all who worked on it. So we want to build off the success of the indoor learning spaces that were built throughout the district. So now we're going to turn our attention to the outdoor learning system. We received a grant of $700,000, $100,000 a school. The schools that are receiving outdoor learning spaces are Wyman Elementary School, Norwood Elementary School, Greenwood Elementary School, Cedar Elementary School, Hoxie Elementary School, Robertson Elementary School, and Oakland Beach Elementary School. These new learning places will provide a variety of different areas outside that classes can meet and have places to provide students with real hands-on setting to learn about nature, for example, geography, biology, and also to make connections to their reading program, the science program that they're working in school. In preparation for the application, it's a school-based application process where teachers had a voice, administrators had a voice, parents had a voice, so they made their plans, and now the leadership team, including Mr. Taylor, who has expanded his role as a technology director to innovative learning. As you saw with the innovative learning spaces inside, there's a lot of technology connected with it. Also supporting Dr. Taylor is Director Oliver, Director Cousineau, and the Coordinator of Safety and Security, Danny Magiacomo. They visited all these schools to look at the spaces, to deem whether it's safety, what was doable, looked at the plan to see if they had to scale back. They have $100,000. Some of the plans were very elaborate. They were wonderful, but they have $100,000. So we're going to be working, RIDE contacted us, and they contracted a company called Left Field. And then our team went out and looked at the sites, as I said, but then Left Field accompanied our team to look at the sites. So Left Field offers us many services. So although we plan to use the skilled workers of Mr. Oliver's team, Left Field is in the process of developing a timeline for us. They will meet with the project managers and landscape architects of Left Field, and they also will help us acquire furniture needed and help with planning and materials needed for the outdoor spaces. So we're beginning our work very soon. We do have a deadline to spend all that money and complete the outdoor spaces in August of 2024. Next, I'd like to congratulate Park School once again for the Blue Ribbon Award. And the Warwick community is so extremely proud that Park School is one of 3 schools in the state receiving the highly distinguished National Blue Ribbon Award from the U.S. Department of Education. The school received this award for being extremely exemplary in achievement gap. I would like to thank the teachers, staff, and parents and students for their hard work and diligence and their exemplary commitment to teaching and learning. It's an honor that Park School embraced the Warwick Department's vision of a graduate and made this incredible achievement. So congratulations again to Park Elementary School. And the last thing I wanted to bring to your attention is the RICAT scores will be coming out this month. So I do have a meeting on October 16th with RIDE to go over some preliminary facts and also results in a general basis, not particularly district by district. So, thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. And we look forward to those monthly. I think it's a really good idea. Yeah. Okay, next, discussion update, summer 2024 bond project update, Mr. Gothberg.
Good evening, Chairman Testa, committee members, superintendent, directors, community. This is a quick update on what we have planned for next summer. in our bond projects. First up is the Greenwood HVAC project. The project has been bid out, and Allborg Construction was the low bidder for this project. They've already started their submissions for all equipment, everything we need to move forward. We have a meeting with Mr. Oliver this week for the movers, and with the bid being $250,000 under our projected budget, it looks we should be able to take the moving funds out of that. We're working with a contract to do as much work early on as possible. We're talking about doing work Christmas vacation, February vacation, April vacation, without disrupting classrooms, trying to get as much done early to relieve compression for the summer project, because this is still an 8-week project, so we really need to alleviate as much as possible. I've also talked to them about they use overtime at the end of the project, working late, and we're talking about doing this up front so that we can give Mr. Oliver and his team as much time cleaning at the end of the project instead of fighting over spaces. Let's do a little more organized, get as much done as early as possible. One of the other things that's going to help this project move along is the abatement was done 2 summers ago, and we have done the windows this past summer, so it's just the HVAC project and the associated sealing and cosmetic work that needs to go along with that. So this looks like we should be able to get this done with as little problems as possible and get done for school opening September 2024. Excuse me. Next up is Oakland Beach HVAC and Building Envelope Project. Project will be going out to bid at the end of the month. It's in design right now. Work is planned to start in December. So we get an early start on this with the kids and staff over at Gorton. We plan to turn the building over by the end of June, if at all possible. This allows 6 months for schedule. And if you look what we did at Warwick Neck in 8 months, a very similar project. It should be less compression and allow Mr. Oliver to do what he needs to do to get Oakland Beach back to their school. And then we have, it's not summer of 2024, but starting fall of 24, we're looking at Hollman. When Oakland Beach moves out, we'd like to move Hollman in and get that project going early. It's a very, very difficult project. There's a ton of demolition that needs to be done. We have hard ceilings in there and a lot of abatement that needs to get done. There's probably 1.5 months of abatement in that project alone, which would not allow us to do that over the summer of 2024. So we'd like to start that in the fall of 2024 and roll over into the following spring and summer, and then get them back for September 2025. 2024, yeah, 2025. So happy to answer any questions on those projects.
Any questions from anyone on the committee? If not?
Thank you, Mr. Gothberg.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next up, you're up again, Mr. Gothberg, on the high school project approval update and next steps.
Mr. Testa, feel free to jump in on this.
I will.
Okay. I think we all know the bond was released. Release was approved by City Council, and Mayor Picozzi signed off on it in late September. I've had a meeting with City Finance. City Finance is now working on how to finance this project, both short and long term. When are they going to bond? What are they going to use for short-term financing? It's a discussion to go on, but they guarantee that they're going to start funding the design work so we can move ahead with that. And due to the delay of the bond release, design could not start until monies were released and became available to fund the design work. So that's just starting to get underway now as far as negotiating with a contract to get that moving. There was really no way to start, without funding to negotiate a contract, and also because of the delay, we really didn't know what kind of delivery model would be required. And when I talk about a delivery model, I mean how are we going to actually build the schools? We're going to go design it, bid it out, and then build it? Or are we going to do a design build, which means you work with the contractor to design it as you move along? Or are we going to work in a construction management type situation? The design bid build is kind of out at this point because we need to have a contractor on board, ready to go by end of June 2024. It's going to take at least a year to design these buildings, so that does not really give us enough time now being September. So we are kind of leaning towards design build. It seems to be the most cost-effective way to go at this point in time. We're having weekly meetings with RIDE, and RIDE is working with us to make sure we design this building to the budget. We have a meeting this Thursday where we're going out actually to Tollgate to look at the site to make sure that the positioning of the building is where is the most advantageous for both connection to CTE and the most cost-effective way to build the building. So, Mr. Test, do you have any comments on that?
No, you've covered everything, and it is moving. It's,
Yeah.
you know, now it's patience. That's all we can exhibit now, is a little patience, get this designed, and, I mean, well, each architect will have its own school. So,
Right. As it stands right now, the team of Secotio and SAM, S-A-A-M, are working together on these, but I think it's going to be most efficient to looks like Secotio will design Tollgate, SAM will design Pilgrim. They will use the base model, but give each school some individuality, but equity. We're looking at, you know, exactly which programs, CTE programs will be at Pilgrim and which will stay at Tollgate. And
it's all good.
All good? Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Gottberg. Any questions, Mr. Callaghan?
Have you engaged other communities that are constructing new high schools or new schools in general right now to see what type of design and build concept that they're choosing?
Well, we're looking at a hybrid design. It really has not been done before. So the design build, the standard model is you do very strong schematic design documents, and then they're called bridging documents, and then you turn them over to the contractor and they pick their own architect and basically start ripping your design apart and giving a little less. So what we're trying to do is set it up so that the contract reads, when the bridging documents are turned over to the winning contractor, they must take our design team with them to work hand in hand and make sure that we maintain some control or a lot of control over what we're going to get for a finished product.
Thank you.
Ms. Kirby-Chapman.
I've had people reach out to me with concerns about Pilgrim. Can you address the grounds of Pilgrim and the positioning of where Pilgrim was stated to be built? Have we looked at the safety? Have we looked into that?
I didn't hear everything, I'm sorry.
I've had the community reach out to me about Pilgrim, about the grounds at Pilgrim, and exactly where Pilgrim is scheduled to be built.
Yep.
Have we looked at that?
Yeah, we've looked at, actually, in one of our last meeting, we talked about moving it forward towards the road, getting away from the community in the back. But, you know, we're really confined to that athletic field area. So it's really a back and forth, maybe a little bit left or right, but it's really going to have to go there.
And at the forums, a couple of the abutting residents were concerned about the road behind there, what kind of traffic would be there, how it would be screened. And then we did talk about, as you mentioned, maybe you move it forward 10 feet towards the road, increasing that buffer zone. And they've seemed pretty good with that.
Right. We had a long discussion with the last meeting with Riot, how we could move that up more forward. Number one, get it away from the community in the back. And two, make it much more approachable and a better look from the road. Instead of seeing it way back, bring it up front. So these are the types of things we're talking about in design. So, you know, the stage 1, stage 2 documents were not end-all documents. They were schematic, and the final design was never ever going to be the final design. And it was stated over and over again.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Gothberg.
Thank you.
Okay, next, discussion update FY23 monthly financial report and year-end review. Mr. Bowl.
Good evening, school committee members. I've provided the September 2023 fiscal report to the committee. Please send any questions directly to me, and my department will provide responses in a timely manner. During the September 12th school committee meeting, there were a few statements made during public comment that I believe deserve a clarifying response. Ms. Netko mentioned during her public comments that she noted quote unquote missing monies during her review of the monthly fiscal report. While I assume this is an attempt to undermine any numbers presented by this administration during a period of negotiation, I would urge questions regarding the monthly fiscal report to be directed to the district's finance office so that organized responses can be provided. Using the public comment section of the meeting to create speculation isn't a productive use of anyone here's time. I'd also like to mention that the district is audited by the 9th largest CPA firm in the United States, and no material misstatements of the district's financials have been found to my knowledge in its history. A second comment I'd like to address, one of the commenters stated that they have not received a raise in 10 years, but that their healthcare expenses have gone up every year. And this received some applause from the audience. I'd like to note that the following raises have been issued over the past decade. In fiscal year 14, 1.5%. In fiscal year 15, 1.2%. In fiscal year...
Folks, please.
In fiscal year 16, which went to arbitration, you were retroactively issued a 2% raise. Fiscal year 17, 2%. Fiscal year 18, 3%. 19, 3%. 20, 3%. 21, 0%. That means you owe us. Fiscal year 22, 2.5%. Fiscal year 23, 2.5%, and fiscal year 24, 1.25%. I'd like to note that the median income of a household in Warwick, Rhode Island, as of the 2021 census, was $77,000.
What was that?
$77,000 for a household. That's per the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Well, point of order, Mr. Gallagher.
This means an individual top step teacher in Warwick earns almost 20% more than the median household.
Mr. Bull, hold on one second.
Sure.
Did you have something? Okay. Okay. Folks, please. Thank you. Okay. Well, what else? Yeah. Okay. May I? Thank you. Okay, what else do you have? I want to kind of wrap this up a little bit here. Okay?
So during the same time, the time period of the raises that I've mentioned, no healthcare deductible has been associated with the district's healthcare plan. While other districts within WB Community Health have had deductibles as high as $6,000 annually for a family plan. Caps remain in place that ensure that healthcare premium contributions have not changed in decades. So based on these facts, I just want to assure everyone that A, teachers have regularly received annual salary raises, almost annually. B, the district's healthcare plan is so antiquated.
Okay. Folks, it's... Okay. Okay. Thank you. Just finish up, Mr. Bull.
Sure. So in summary, I would just say that the district cannot continue to subsidize employee health benefits that are this generous without forcing cuts to student programs and activities. If you're focused on quality of education and pursuing the vision of a graduate, it seems like it's time to update our healthcare policies. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Bull. Okay.
Can we call for a 5-minute recess?
5-minute recess? Okay, I'll call a 5-minute recess. 5 minutes.
I'll leave the stage, right? Or I'll leave the stage. Use the bathroom.
We're gonna have to recess.
Oh.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bull. I would note one thing, the unpaid lunch balance is down to $129,390. So that's a $16,000 reduction. I want to thank those who paid their bills and anyone who helped get people signed up for free and reduced lunch, but it's encouraging to see that come down for once in the last 13 months, so thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, discussion action WT grievance. I would seek a motion to uphold the superintendent's recommendation.
I'm sorry, can we go back for a second?
Yes, please.
Mr. Bull, in the future, if you could just respectfully give us a heads up in the folder. Well, I think some of the stuff that he was saying, he might have had to say on behalf of the administration. However, I'm just asking in the future, just give us a heads up because, you know, we are often recognized as the face of Warwick Public Schools, the school committee. People put us here, and so, yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that. Thank you.
Okay, next agenda item number 6, WTU grievance. Again, I look for a motion to uphold the superintendent's recommendation.
Motion to uphold the superintendent's recommendation.
Second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor of upholding the superintendent's recommendation?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Is that 2 nays?
Yes.
2 nays? Okay, so motion passes 3-2. Next up, discussion action ride virtual instruction plan 2023-2024. Ms. Danbrook.
Yes, so every year, RIDE requires us to submit an educational virtual instruction plan. Now, we all, I'm sure all in this room know that it's not effective virtual learning. This is just a plan that we hope we never have to use, but I think it would be not very smart to not have this in place in case something really bad happened and we had to use some virtual learning. This is not a requirement, but if you think you may, or you just want to have the safety net of having the virtual learning plan, you submit this to RIDE. So I did work with my directors, and I thank them for all their help. And so there are main components of this plan. So you have culture and management, curriculum and instruction, and technology supports. And in this plan, we have to complete an application and an implementation plan. So we have worked on this, and we are going to be asking the school committee to approve this plan this evening.
Thank you, Superintendent. I'm looking for a motion to approve the RIDE virtual instruction plan.
So move approval.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, discussion action contract award mentor RI. Ms. Danbrook.
Yes, we have been fortunate enough to work with the mentor program since about 1990. Countless numbers of students who are struggling in one way or the other have benefited from this program. So I am asking you to approve the spending of, it's between ESSA fund and general funds, to approve the continuing of the Mentor Rhode Island partnership.
Move approval for mentor partnership funding.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next up, discussion action approval of the 2024 school committee monthly meeting schedule. Superintendent.
So we do have a calendar for the 2024 monthly meeting schedule for the school committee. It does follow the second Tuesday of every month, and I believe you have it in your documents, and I'm asking you to approve the 2024 school committee calendar.
Move approval for the 2024 school committee calendar.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I did check, it doesn't seem to conflict with any holidays of any religion, so it's good. Okay, next up, discussion action item, special services, two full-time teaching assistant positions, Mrs. Barber and Mr. Allenbach.
Okay. Sorry. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of school committee, and Superintendent Denbrook. Special Services is requesting 2 full-time teaching assistant positions, 1 full-time one-on-one teaching assistant at Park Elementary School, and 1 full-time one-on-one teaching assistant at Windman Middle School. These services have been added to the students' IEPs, and the positions are not in the existing budget.
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next up, discussion action contract award, Pro Ed, purchase of 7 subscriptions for Edmark Online, Mrs. Barber and Mr. Allenbach.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the school committee, Special Services requesting purchase of subscriptions for Edmark Online and Edmark Reading Comprehension. This is a yearly subscription purchase that has been budgeted for.
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next, item 12, discussion action contract award, LearnWell, yearly request for tutoring services. Mrs. Barber.
Yes, we're requesting funding for the yearly tuition services through LearnWell Company for all students at Bradley Hospital. This is a budgeted expense.
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next item, Mr. McCaffrey, I think you're taking this. Discussion action, United Rentals for Porta Johns.
Mr. Chair, members of the school committee, the athletic department's requesting approval for porta potty services by United Rental. It's a budget expense. Asking for your approval.
Move approval?
Second.
And this is part of this, on the state master purchasing agreement, so.
Yes.
Yep, okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next 3 items are Mr. Kane. Mr. McCaffrey, you taking those, or? If it's okay with the committee, you could take all 3 of them at once, and if you have any questions on an individual one, just
No
ask. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. McCaffrey, you can do 14,
Sure.
15, and 16.
The Career and Tech Center is requesting approval for EMT training services for the health occupation program by Emergency Training RI.
Okay.
Item number 15, they're requesting to pay for their school, pay for the Skills USA Rhode Island affiliate fee for $6,211 as a budget expense through Perkins. And number 17.
16.
Excuse me, 16. They're requesting approval to attend the New England Laborers Training Academy for their level 2-3 students who are primarily seniors to attend a training session with the New England Laborers where they would look at the various apprenticeship programs that are available in the construction areas that are within the Laborers organization. Requesting approval for all 3.
Thank you.
Move approval on all 3.
Second.
Any discussion or questions to Mr. McCaffrey on any of them?
Mr. McCaffrey, where is that located, the New England Laborers Training?
Pomfret, Connecticut. It's their training facility.
Nice. Thank you.
All right, so moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Okay, item 17, discussion action contract award, empowering writers. Mr. Heatherton.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the school committee. The grants department is requesting approval to purchasing coaching and PD for St. Kevin's School on Empowering Writers. Just for public knowledge, school districts are required to reserve a proportional share of federal funds for non-public schools. So I ask for your approval.
Move approval.
Second.
Second. Mr. Heatherton, this is just a pass-through, right? We're just the conduit
Exactly.
through which the money flows. Okay, thank you. Okay, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 18, discussion action contract award. Wilson Language, Mr. Heatherton.
So the grants department is requesting approval for purchase of foundation teacher kits for grade 3. This purchase has been approved by RIDE and is being paid through Title I grant funding. I ask for your approval.
Move approval.
Second.
Yep. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, you again, Mr. Heatherton. I'm sorry, I didn't realize all three. Discussion action, contract award, Committee for Children, purchase of Second Step Digital.
Again, the grant department is seeking approval for purchase of Second Step digital curriculum for elementary and middle schools. Second Steps help students build social emotional skills like goal setting, recognizing and understanding the impact of bullying and harassment, and managing relationships and conflict. This is grant funded through the Project Aware grant. I ask for your approval.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? I do have one question for you, Mr. Heatherton. The Project Aware grant was the one that Mrs. Murray had discussed, and there's a time frame by which we have to expend these funds? Is it 3 years or something like that?
It's actually a 4-year grant.
4-year
so,
grant,
yeah,
okay.
we're-
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Kirby Chapin, please.
I just wanted to know more about, because I just, what is the Committee for Children? So can you just explain more, especially to everyone out there too?
Turn. Hold, please. That's the organization that is the developers of the curriculum for Second Step. A Second Step program is something that Warwick Schools has purchased years ago when I was a school counselor, but it wasn't digital at the time. And so it's a curriculum for teachers that has social skills lessons in it, like we mentioned, around relationship building and bully prevention, goal setting. But that committee is just the name of the curriculum company.
Oh, so it's what teachers, so it's for teaching the teachers?
It's actually for teachers to use with their students. It's curriculum.
Is that part of their paid studying? Is this something they do on their own time?
Can you, I'm sorry, can
Is
you
this
repeat
something
that?
they do on their own time, or is this part of professional development? That's what I was
They will get professional development through this training. We also received a series of mini grants that we can also use towards training and stipend money for teachers as well.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Murray. But that's been moved, that was already approved, okay. So next is number 20, discussion action contract award, Family Leadership, Inc., Mr. Heatherton.
So I request approval for purchasing ongoing site team contact and support from Family Leadership Incorporated, otherwise known as Parenting Partners. The training is for the 5 Title I schools. It includes training materials, toolkits, and helps enhance parent involvement in our Title I communities. This was approved by RIDE and is being paid through Title I grant funding. I ask for approval.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
I
carries. Oh,
just-
sorry, Ms. Hazelwood.
So I got to speak with, I spoke with Cameron Kadick this week, and she gave me a lot of insight into everything that's happening with the family leadership. And the 5 people that are working in the schools right now, family facilitators, and a lot of good stuff happening. A lot of good stuff happening behind the scenes. They spearheaded a cops Coffee with a Cop, the first one we've had, and we had Coffee with a Retired Cop, which was our own Danny Giacomo over at Lippitt. And they're building good community relationships, which is very needed. The kids need to see officers in the school, that it's a safe thing, it's okay when the police come. It's not always, because they've not always had that experience. So I just wanted to say thank you to Cassidy Kamer and to Cameron Kadick for their work behind the scenes. We don't often see what they do, but they've been doing a lot. So I wanted to, and thank you very much, Mr. Heatherton.
Thank you, Ms. Hazelwood. Next, item 21, discussion action contract award Demco, Mrs. Cusino.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chair and school committee members. This is purchase being grant funded for building improvement for furniture updated by Demco to improve the library at the Greenwood School. It's being split between a legislative grant and some Feinstein funds. I'm looking for an action.
Move approval.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Okay, next, Mr. Oliver, you're up. We're going to take 22 by itself. So, discussion action, Delta Mechanical, troubleshooting, repairing HVAC at vets.
Good evening. I'm requesting your approval for this emergency approval for HVAC repair and troubleshooting at Warwick Vets. The number is not to exceed $50,000, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I have a question.
Move approval.
Move approval. Second?
Second.
Ms. Hazelwood?
What happens if it is over 50,000?
Then we'll have to come back to you for more, another approval for more money.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it would be fixed, but I know that it's going to be fixed, so.
Mr. Gallagher.
I thank you for that.
Just a question, can you give us high level in layman's terms what it is we're repairing? What was the issue, the root cause, and what is this money going towards?
At this point, we're having major failures with compressors, control systems. One of my next agenda items, you'll see that that's another issue we're having with this building here. Obviously, over the years, we've had, last year I spent about $70,000 in compressor repair. My guys have banged their head against the wall trying to make the repairs on their own. We've worked with other vendors. We brought Delta Mechanical in just at this time to get down to what really needs to be fixed. At this point, none of us know. Even Delta's having issues trying to figure out really what's going on.
We had some comments during public comment regarding the air makeup and indoor air quality. Will these corrections presumably address those concerns?
When the system is operating properly, yes, I believe it will take care of all the issues that have been brought to our attention by the Warwick veteran staff.
And are we having an ongoing study of the air quality and air makeup system here?
As of today, I have instructed my environmental coordinator to contact an outside vendor to see how we could go about getting air quality tests for Warwick vets for every space in the building.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't we have somebody local in-house that does that?
Say that again?
Don't we have somebody in-house that does that?
Air quality testing?
Yeah, we used to.
No, we do not. That's something you have to have an outside vendor for transparency reasons. That's a conflict of interest if we had someone do it in our staff.
I agree.
All right, this has been going on for a long time.
3 years.
And this whole system was replaced in?
In 2018, I believe it was finished up.
Right. And so this is like 5 years old.
Correct.
Where is the company that installed this?
You need to understand that the closeout documents and the warranty paperwork was never completed by...
Wait a minute. Can you, Kevin, I didn't hear you because the people in the back are talking over you, and I'm trying to hear you to understand what's going on, so...
I understand.
Could you please repeat that?
So the closeout documents or the warranty paperwork was not completed when the project was done. I have stated this multiple times at other school committee meetings, to you actually, to let you know that that wasn't done, and that's one of the reasons why we're having such a difficult time having a representative from LG come out, because we never had the documents completed.
Who was in charge of that?
Excuse me?
Who should have done the warranty work?
Whoever was in charge of the capital project at that time.
Which was? Yeah. We're not naming names here, but I don't believe any of those people are here any longer. So
there's nothing, we have no recourse with the
well, I'm not
original installers.
Right. Not so sure of that. So
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions from the committee? Okay. Mr. Oliver, you guys came to me last week for the emergency approval after Delta came in, and it was fine. So, and I've spelled out to the superintendent and to, I think to you and Mr. Gothberg in an email that I'm more than willing to spend the money to pursue legal remedies here. LG, it's an LG system, I believe.
LG and DOASP, yeah.
They can't skirt. So, and that's what we have him for, and his expertise. So we're gonna find out what's wrong with the system. Okay, that's what we're contracting with Delta to do.
Yep.
So we'll get it fixed.
Correct.
But we're not gonna let that sit. Okay, we're gonna empower him and his firm to go do what we pay them to do.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
But we have to do this, and I can assure you, and I think you can assure us, that that type of oversight doesn't happen anymore.
No, it does not.
It hasn't happened since.
Has not happened since.
Right, because this system was installed before I got on, I think, so, but that doesn't sit well from this chair, so, okay. So moved, it's
one
been
more
seconded.
thing. I
Yeah,
just wanna
Ms.
thank-
Hazelwood.
I actually wasn't coming.
Yep, Ms. Hazelwood.
I just want to thank you for coming out with me right away. After we got that email, I wanted to come out the next day, and you and the superintendent came right here, met me, and we did walk through. And I'm grateful for that, and I want to see this, I know this building is going to be operating the way it's supposed to be. This year, it's going to happen.
It has to.
Yes.
Mr. Oliver, I just want to thank you. I know that you guys used to do a lot of this work yourselves because the old STEAM system was an old STEAM system that was easy to figure out.
Right.
It appears this is much more high-tech than...
Fortunately, we have hired a few newer guys that have education in the newer systems, and we're making great strides in trying to keep up with the times.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. No other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Oliver, I'm going to ask you to do 23 on its own, and then I'm going to, if it's okay with my colleagues, take 24 through 27 en masse, and they can question an individual one. So let's just do 23. Discussion action, Phalanx Engineering, replacement of obsolete controller.
Yes, the controller on this system is obsolete, so they had to do a workaround and find another control that could do the same job as the control that was originally on the piece of equipment. They did a workaround, and they did find a solution for it. So here I am asking your approval on this contract.
Move approve. Second.
Moved, second by Ms. Backus. Any questions?
Yes.
Ms. Backus.
I take it that this controller is 5 years old, or thereabouts?
Correct.
So it's already obsolete?
Correct.
Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Aldo, how many controllers are in this system?
On one unit, there could be 10 controllers.
Okay.
Outside air, ESPs, all
So-
sorts of controllers.
All right. So there is a workaround?
Yes, there is.
When they
Yeah.
fail, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right, thank you. Here, no other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next, Mr. Oliver, if it's okay with the committee, we'll take 24 through 27 all at once. Just explain to us what they are, and then when you're done with any questions on any particular ones, so we can.
The next one is for a rental of a brush cutter for the outdoor learning spaces. There was some talk of having walking paths put on property, so I needed to rent this piece of equipment in order to cut the paths in. Obviously, if we have to scale back, we won't be renting the piece of equipment.
Okay.
Next one is for Kenville flooring for the resurfacing of our gym flooring at Pilgrim Tollgate, Windman and Veterans. I'll be asking your approval on that one. The next one is for fencing for a temporary play area at Welk. While the new playground is constructed, they needed a place to play and enjoy the outdoors, so we constructed a fenced-in 6-foot area with gates so they can go out and enjoy the fresh air. Just to let you know that this fence will be repurposed in the future. I didn't cement it in or anything. We're going to use it in the future in other areas when we have failing fences. And the next one is the Driscoll elevator for our lifts, for our wheelchair lifts in all our buildings. It's a requirement. They be inspected every year. When we originally did the contract, it was an oversight that they weren't in the contract, and now we're going to make sure moving forward that they are in the elevator contract.
Any question?
Move approval.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Oliver, and any of them? Mr. Galligan?
On item 25, recoating the floors at Pilgrim, Tollgate, Women, and Vets, when do you see this work being completed?
It's done.
It's already completed?
It's already completed.
Great. Thank you.
Nice.
You're welcome.
Mr. Oliver, just have a quick question on the Driscoll elevator. Is that an annual contract we have?
Yes, it is.
So-
No, I think this one's a 2-year contract, I believe. I'll have
All
to-
right, so this is the first year of it, so?
I believe so, yes.
So next year, we'll budget for this?
Yep,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. All right. If there are no other questions, looking for a motion to approve items 24 through 27. Oh, there was already moved in second, I'm sorry. Call the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next item, number 28, discussion action, contract award, Rhode Island Link, RI Link, subscription renewal. Mr. McCaffrey.
Mr. Chair, members of the school committee, I'm requesting approval for the renewal of the RI Link services for library services, online library services for our schools.
Move approval.
Second.
Is this for just the secondary schools?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So the number of kids was 4,200, that's what made me think. Okay. Any questions for Mr. McCaffrey? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And next, you again, Mr. McCaffrey, discussion action contract award, Ronald Costelli.
Requesting approval for EMT materials for the Lifesaver program at Pilgrim High School, similar to the program that you approved earlier at the Career and Tech Center for the Health Occupations Program.
Move approval.
Second.
And this is only this year out of our operating funds. Next year would be a Perkins grant funded
Yes,
item?
that would be the goal, to
Right.
put into the grant.
Okay, thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item, Mr. McCaffrey.
Requesting your approval for the annual renewal of the RIAS memberships for the administrators in the district.
Move approval.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item, number 31, Rocks Fresh Food. Mr. McCaffrey.
Under a RIDE program, which is grant funded, we're requesting approval to purchase fruits and produce for our elementary schools that are outlined in the memo that was sent to you in your packets.
Move approval.
Second.
Any questions?
I just have a question.
Ms.
This-
Hazelwood?
This is for a year, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item, number 32, discussion action, contract award curriculum associates, Dr. Schultz.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I just wanted to request your approval for something that was an emergency approval at the end of last month. Came to your attention, we had to order quite a few extras for students that either were late in registering, but like I wrote in my email to all the teachers, thank you again, everyone, as we navigated through that. We are one of the only districts that are in that boat right now with having extra students, so it's a good problem to have.
Right.
And so thank you for the emergency approval to get those materials out as soon as we possibly could. So this is just on here as a kind of a heads up, I guess.
Right.
It was purchased with available funds, too.
Okay, that's
Yes.
what I was going to ask.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Move approval.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? Motion carries. I gotta keep this. Okay, that's it for agenda items. Next on the agenda is public comment. Again, same rules apply as the original public comment, 30 minutes, 2 minutes per person. Comments should not contain inappropriate or salacious remarks. Just please state your name. I will do my best to keep time. Please bear with me. Okay.
Good evening, my name is Michelle Landry, chemistry teacher at Tollgate. Last time I was here, Mr. Hennius's fantasy math report had just come out, and I pretty much lost my mind. So I was very heated at the last meeting, and I arrived tonight thinking I would try a calmer approach. But then the dude to whom you are paying $123,505 plus benefits since a special meeting on May 4th, 2023, decided to send a shot over the bow. So you can thank him for the following. I'm not sure anyone who is not a teacher can possibly comprehend how difficult teaching was during COVID. Yet our 2020-2023 contract gave us a 0, 2.5, 2.5 with an increase in our health co-share. The net raise over the 3 years was around 1.13%. Total slap in the face after everything we did for COVID for the kids. Now I am back with a 1.25% raise and a copay increase. I would like those on the negotiating team to please consider two things. First of all, get the numbers 0, 1, and 2 out of your heads. The time for zeros, ones, and twos is long over, long past. You need to start at the 3s and 4s. We are only asking to be on par, to be put on par with other municipal employees. Police and fire most recently received 3.75% raises in each of the year of their contracts. And finally, because I don't want to be all about the numbers, you need to put back the special education language. That language protects, cares for, and impacts the most vulnerable population we have in this school. And you need to put that back in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Landry.
Hi, good evening. Karen Montero, Warwick resident, Warwick Public School graduate, 1986. Warwick teacher for the past, I'm in my 34th year, former teacher to Abby Testa, and Vice President of Warwick Teachers Union. Mr. Bull, I've got to say, I'm sitting back there, I'm kind of flabbergasted with what you did. It really was uncalled for, because anyone who knows what goes on, we don't negotiate in public, and what you just did totally goes against everything that we stand for. So I'm not going to be salacious, as Mr. Testa has warned me.
Don't lie. Thank you.
But I am going to give you my father's probably worst insult, or most cutting insult that he could ever give someone. You're just a goofball. That was uncalled for.
Darlene Netco, back again. And perhaps I was not clear enough. I was trying to maybe cutesy at the last meeting. But I believe it was the August financial report listed a $3.4 million surplus on one of the line items, and that was gone in the September report. So that's what I was referring to. I'm not accusing you of hiding money or doing anything with money, other than where's a $3.4 million surplus that was in those budget documents and then suddenly disappeared. And Mr. Testa, I would like an equal amount of time that Mr. Bull had to counter some of his statements, because he hasn't been here very long, and I've been here a very long time.
I'll do my best. I do want to keep it to 2 minutes.
Well, going back to 1990, my first year in this district, I mean, this is my 34th year in Warwick, but my 36th year teaching overall. So I spent a lot of time in classrooms. I've spent a lot of time working very hard for very little money. My first year in Westerly, $14,000. And I'm sure the administration was making a lot more than I was then. Back in Warwick, 1990, the year I was hired, that was the last year of a contract. And a lot of people sitting here were here then too as teachers. And so you remember, we went 6 years, 91 to 97, without a contract. That's 6 years of zero. There's something in our contract now to give us a little bit upon our retirement to kind of make up for that crap. But nothing can ever make up for 6 years of a zero. And during that time, there were strikes and there were jailings. Warwick teachers sat in jail for this union and for our students. Because if we had gone to school, I would have had a class, because they also violated our contract language. In addition to insulting us with pay, they chose to violate our contract language and make our teaching conditions and the students' learning conditions intolerable. I had a 7th grade English class, 27 students, 22 of them had IEPs. You tell me if that's educationally sound. If you think it is, then you've got problems, because it's not. But that's the kind of baloney, malarkey, crap administration will pull when they think they can get away with it. So when you start reading off numbers, there are a lot more zeros than the last couple of years. There's those 6 years back there in the 90s. There are a couple more in the 2000s. They're all over the place. And when you sit and you add them all up, it comes out to very little percent raises over time. That does not begin to compensate for the work that we've done, especially, as Mrs. Landry said, during the pandemic, and especially for our elementary teachers and our special ed K through 12 that have to fulfill the Right to Read Act requirements that RIE has foisted upon them. You have no idea the amount of time people spend on their own. You have no idea about the sacrifices teachers make to family life and to their own health and their own safety to help their kids, their students, which they feel also is their family. So, as Mrs. Landry said, you know, she got a little heated. I'm getting a little heated now. I try not to be heated. But it's that kind of behavior from administration that makes me say things like, central, and let me be clear, central administrators are superfluous.
Darren, we're at almost 4 minutes now.
No, I need to clear this up, Mr. Testa,
Okay,
because my words were twisted last time, and if you can go and watch the video, you can see I was referring to administration, but maybe I wasn't clear enough, so I want to be clear.
Right, okay, we're at 4 minutes
I'm not
now.
referring to any other employee in Warwick. Central administrators, when they behave this way, show their superfluity. And the school committee, hopefully you received an email from me earlier today, but I have a hard copy of the letter that I sent you. So I'll just leave that on the stage over here and you can get it.
Thank you, Ms. Nyko.
How about that? I'm actually going to speak on the exact same issue. After the last school committee meeting, and this is something the school committee should know, and I really think that maybe you need to talk with the administration and tell them that cheap tricks is not the way to go to have negotiations go well. Having the Director of Human Resources send a letter out saying that the president of my union was saying that our fellow union members in the WISE union, that she was saying they aren't important, they don't matter. Now, to us, that's laughable. I work with WISE union people every day. They're as integral, as important as anybody else in the building. They're our friends, they're our colleagues. The idea that we would be disparaging them, that my union president would disparage members of another union, period, is absolutely ridiculous. And I want to be clear, that letter did not come from you on the school committee. It came from administration. And that's just dumb stuff. Why send that stuff out? You had to know that my union president was going to talk to the WISE union president, and they're going to be like, okay, this is ridiculous. Why would we be doing this? But it just cheapens the whole thing. We can do a lot better, and please hold the administration to doing a lot better in that respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce.
Hello, everyone. Pauline Pinto once again. I wasn't going to come back up here and mention this, but Mr. Bowl, after your comments, which were incredibly insulting, and listening to everyone receive praise up here, but then being censored when we talk about important issues like transparency, right? Like, who was responsible at that time? And Mr. Testa, I disagree with you, because leaving the same people responsible for making these mistakes, continuously going to the lowest bidder, using the same bidder over and over, and then having the work overseen by the same people and expecting different results is the literal definition of insanity. Looking at Google, amazing, I can tell you that in 2017, when the HVAC system was installed, it was under the tutelage of Mr. Gothberg, who was the director of Building and Grounds at that time. We also used some familiar contractors, Alborg, Delta, at the tune of $8.63 million. We do need to be concerned. We are building new schools that are going to have the same old problems. So I completely disagree. And was I here to call anyone out? Nope. Did I before? Nope. But when I stand here and I'm insulted by the very people that are entrusted to make sure they're safe and our children are safe, I have a huge issue. Do something about it.
Thank you, Ms. Pinto.
Hi all, Mary Townsend, teacher assistant, 42 years here in Warwick Public Schools, Wise Union president. I just have two comments. One, I want to say that I appreciate the feelings of Michael Pierce and other teachers, but I also appreciate when there is some kind of, when my members are having concerns and didn't come to me, that they received a response. So I hope you understand that piece of it, because I absolutely did understand, but I know Darlene and I know what goes on. So I just wanted to add that. My other point that I wanted to make was I did want to thank Kevin Oliver and all of our maintenance staff. While Karen asked, do we have members who do the HVAC work and all the other work in the district? We do. And did Mr. Oliver let you know, did Kevin let you know, we are hiring younger new members that have different kinds of training, while our older HVAC guys are working on all the other buildings and can still do plenty of good hard work. This is just a bigger job than 3 people can handle. Am I correct? We have 3 HVAC employees. So I don't want anybody to think that they can't do the work. It's just too much work for 3 people to do. So thank you, and on that note, I hope everybody has a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Townsend. Anyone else for public comment? Only once, twice, okay. Future meetings, Warwick School Building Committee meeting, next is November 1st, 2023 at 7:30 a.m. at the Admin Building. Next monthly school committee meeting is November 14th at 7 p.m. And the policy subcommittee meeting, date to be determined. Ms. Backus.
I don't think this, the date is November 7th.
November 7th.
Tuesday, November 7th.
Tuesday, November 7th at 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
At the Ad Building.
At the Ad Building.
Okay, there being no other business before this committee, I seek a motion to... Hold
Move
on.
approval.
Hold on one second. Mr. Gallagher?
What?
I would just also like to add, if for those that have social media, if you go and visit the Warwick Special Education Advisory Committee page, they indicated that this Thursday, October 12th, they will be having their monthly meeting virtually. They have their 2 email addresses where if you email Caitlin Regan or Jennifer Cardillo, they can send you the link. So just if you have the opportunity, please join the Warwick Special Ed Advisory Committee meeting this Thursday. It's 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. You can find the information on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there being no other business, looking for a motion to adjourn.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, adjourned at 8:54. Thank you.